This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com.
Boyd and Williams next appear in Memphis. Of course, this is Jarrett and Lawler, and they make their debut in 82. I think it's October. Right away, they're working in a feud with Jacques Rougeau and Terry Taylor. Boy, that feels like a thrown together team right there. Jacques Rougeau and Terry Taylor. I just think of them as the Quebecers and the Red Rooster, and that's a little weird.
No, that's like your goddamn white meat babyface back in the day. It's just, holy cow, man. They were two young, good looking guys, all the girls love, and bring them in. Of course you'd team them.
Well, here's the thing. They're very quickly programmed in a major way in Memphis because of course the Sheepherders beat the shit out of those two guys, Jacques Rougeau and Terry Taylor. Eventually our baby faces, get the upper hand in a coal miner's glove match. One of the first times I've ever heard of that. But then later that same night, the Sheepherders come back.
You didn't hang out with coal miners back in your day?
I did not a lot of coal mining in Alabama.
You know, what really fucked me up more than anything?
What?
Is when I actually saw a coal miner and I realized that their gloves didn't look like that.
Yeah.
I thought that was like standard issue coal miner's gloves, that everybody got those. And by God, if they ever commenced a fight and it was on. I mean, I wonder what kind of matches they had if they ever got in a fight and everything. It says, all right, we're going to take coal miner's gloves off, but we're going to, I don't know.
There's no way they actually call it a coal miner's glove.
Well, if they're a coal miner and they wear a glove.
Oh no, I'm just saying, do you think the boys these days say, well, let me take off my wrestling boots? No, they say, I'm going to take my boots off.
Hey, wait a minute. Hang on. Wait a minute. Did you lead me there on purpose?
No.
Oh, okay. So anyway,
hit it.
I'm going to tell you, this is a true story too. This is one of the goddamnest things where I was like, just beyond myself. You know that I'm like a 3-time black belt Hall of Famer.
You remind us every week. You remind us every week. We hear it every week.
Well, I sometimes you forget, sometimes you need to remind people. There was this guy, and he's no longer with us, but he was a black belt, and he was a very pretty kicker. He was a very good point fighter, but like if it ever came to real life, he would just shrivel up in a ball type thing. And he and this other guy, some guys cut him off, and everybody, like the typical thing you do in Texas, road rage, before there was such a thing as road rage. Well, guys cut him off and they pull him over and get out in front of him. And this one guy, Kevin, and actually, goddamn, both of them are no longer with us. So Kevin says to Sam, now Kevin was the one that everybody thought was so great because he pretty kicks, man, beautiful kicks. He can nail you with his kicks, but never hurt you. And Kevin says to Sam, and he says, hang on, Bubba. You go hold them off while I get my boots off, because I got to have my boots off before I get into a fight. I'm like, wait a minute. What the fuck, man? If you're going to kick somebody, I'd rather kick them with a fucking boot on
Yes.
than my goddamn bare feet.
Yes.
I was like, what the fuck are you doing throwing a goddamn roundhouse kick or a hook kick in a fucking fight? So, yeah, I thought that's where you're going. They had to hold them off while I get my boots off, Bubba.
You thought I knew that story?
Well, I thought everybody knew that story.
Okay.
There's at least 3 people listening to this that know that story. I can guarantee you right now.
Well, I'm glad we spent all that time on it.
Well, exactly.
So the Sheepherders return to the ring after the coal miner's glove match later that same night, and they defeat the territory's top stars at the time, Lawler and Dundee. And boy, this is a different time. I think most everyone listening to this knows that Jerry Lawler was not just a comedy figure for the WWF. He was one of the top drawing acts in America for a long, long time. He owned and dominated this Memphis market in a way where, he was over to a level that almost no one ever could be again. But Bill Dundee,
I don't think anybody in the history of the business, the only rivals maybe would be Von Erich and Dallas, but Lawler over in Memphis, unlike any other star ever in the business.
Well said. So chat me up here. Bill Dundee, not a name we've spent a lot of time talking about. I don't think some of our younger listeners, maybe if you just grew up on the WWF, you don't know exactly how valuable he was. not just as a behind the scenes figure and a booker for Watts, but boy, in Memphis, that fella was over, was he not?
Yeah, definitely, man. I think that, Dundee and Jerry rival each other. Nobody came close to the magnitude of over as Jerry Lawler. And if anyone could say that, hey, they were in the hemisphere, it might have been Bill Dundee during his time there. Yes.
Let's keep it moving here and let's talk about what's next for the fellas, because they're going to stick around here in Memphis for a while and even work with the fabulous ones, Stan Lane and Steve Kern. Most everyone listening to this remembers Stan Lane as being part of the Midnight Express because that's where they got national exposure with WCW. But dude, Stan Lane and Steve Kern as the Fabs. And by the way, Steve Kern, for some of our hardcore WWF fans, this is what's going to one day become Skinner. But before they were the Midnights and before they were Skinner, Lane and Kern as the fabulous ones, this is one of the big breakout acts from Memphis, right?
Oh my God. I want to say that it put them on the map in a lot of respects as far as two guys. And during the Fabs run, I dare say that the Fabs rivaled Lawler for the biggest babyface attention in the territory at the time. But you said Stan Lane and the Midnight Express. Good Lord, I would never even go there in a million years. That's how much I associate Stan with the Fabs. And I actually had to think about it. I was going to correct you and say, no, you mean Heavenly Bodies. But I guess Stan was a part of the Midnight after Dennis left. But to me, the Midnight will always be Bobby and Dennis. And Stan will always be the Fabs. Stan and Steve will always be the Fabs.
They do big business everywhere they go, the Fabs and the Sheepherders here. But March 28th, 1983, that's their last match at the Mid-South Coliseum. I guess we should also mention here, the Mid-South Coliseum ran wrestling from 1963 to 2006 right there in Memphis. Of course, those later years, it's less of a staple, but once upon a time, this was a weekly stop and Memphis was one of the hottest markets around. So for you to come in and do big business there, while maybe it didn't have the best pay around, that's maybe a story for another show. Lord, you could get big exposure in a big market that would get covered in magazines and dominate TV in a way that no other territory did, right?
Absolutely. And, Mid-South on Monday night, that was what it was all about. And I think about when I went there for the first time, had to be maybe 82, 83, whenever Tom was working there, went to visit Tom in Memphis. And the building was pretty much a shithole then. But it got worse. It got a lot more run down as time went on. But you think about those traditional buildings and they are glamorized, and you think about it. Now, the Mid-South Coliseum is the Taj Mahal compared to the Dallas Sportatorium, but both are held in such high regard that it's Mid-South just kind of got run down after a while, and they didn't take care of it, and the newness had run off. I mean, the damn thing was old.
Let's talk for a minute, just as a sidebar. Let's chat about important wrestling buildings. Sportatorium, Madison Square Garden. I know you're going to take issue, but ECW Arena.
No.
Mid-South Coliseum. Are there others that we're missing that were just like synonymous with pro wrestling?
Oh yeah. Sam Houston Coliseum, Kiel Auditorium, the Cow Palace,
Cow Palace.
And the Sportatorium in Tampa.
The Armory there.
Yeah. Well, the Sportatorium where they did their TV in Tampa on North Albany.
What about, left me. Center Stage. Would you consider that one?
No, not even.
I mean, I know.
Again, because I'm looking at tradition. I'm looking at longevity. ECW Arena was 3-4 years. To me, that's not.
What about the Omni?
Legendary that, oh my God, I've got to go work there. People wanted to work. It was a dream to work Sam Houston Coliseum. It was a dream to work the Sportatorium, the Garden, Kiel Auditorium, the Cow Palace, places like that, because they were just legendary.
What about the Omni?
I would throw the Omni in there, yeah, in later years.
Aaron tells me that was like his Madison Square Garden growing up in Rome, Georgia.
Yeah, I think too. A lot of people definitely in the Southeast, the Omni definitely was, because it was Atlanta, man, and that was a stronghold.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.